Yes, everyone, welcome back. Just took me a minute to get going then. What's happening? That was all right, wasn't it? Get my notes up for what I wanted to talk about. Everyone enjoyed the game? Obviously, just been having a look at what's been going on around the rest of the leagues. We'll talk about that as well. Stay live for a little bit, see what's happening with everyone, and see how it's going on. Amaya says, Aston Villa with a real manager could be European contenders. Interesting, that, isn't it? Kerry says, how was the match? A 5:30 a.m. wake up was too early for me. I'll have to watch it back later. Well, pretty good segue. United absolutely battered them. 2-0 does them a massive, massive favour. We had so many shots. I'm just going to get the stats up here for exactly how many shots that we had. Now, they could have been better. I mean, we still had plenty, but we had 29 shots today. 11 of which were on target, 8 big chances. Dominated possession, dominated the ball, completely dominated the game. We did play really well. And it's really interesting, actually, because despite playing really well, Everton had this weird high line, which kind of forced us to play over the top, and we was having a lot of success over the top, and we was having so many opportunities. That's what a lot of those chances came from, were runs in behind and getting out over the top. Knight says Martial's been out for months, come back, scores a league goal before Weghorst. I can't deny that. He took his goal really well. And that's what you do get with Martial. It's, is it a case of can he just stay fit? Ben says, I heard Sancho look legitimately good today. What do I think? Yeah, he did look good today. He made 5 chances today. Anthony only a couple. Anthony had a lot of shots. Marcus had a lot of shots. Listen, I think it was a performance where most of the team had really good games. I think still Maguire slows it down a little bit. Still think he got away with some stuff today. Still think he was behind everybody else, but it's given Varane the night off. Means that he can obviously be rested for Thursday and Sevilla, so that's a good one. Anthony needs to finish some of those chances that he was getting because he had a lot of those chances. Eriksen back, that was nice to see. We absolutely peppered them and avoided a drama. I thought today was set up for it to be a horrible game full of drama for us that he just didn't need, but yeah, it was good. Fine there says McSauce was class. I don't know about class. It does mean Casemiro's now back for the league, absolutely. I don't know about class. It's weird. We dominated possession to such a degree. It was weird that McTominay and Sabitzer didn't really get on the ball an awful lot. Bruno did. Bruno had 86 passes out of 100. That's incredible. So everything that we were doing was going through Bruno, and Bruno also created 6 chances as well. I think it was 6, might have been 8 actually. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it was 6. He did a bloody good job today and held on to the ball really well. So is this Ten Hag getting into him? Is he seeing stuff himself? I thought he was excellent today, in all honesty. Adam says McTominay was garbage, gave away so many passes just because he scored. He was class. I don't think he was garbage, in all honesty. I don't think him and Sabitzer got on the ball anywhere near as much as you would want them to. I don't think you can say he gave away the ball all the time he got it, because he had a 88% pass completion. That's not giving the ball away all the time, is it? If we're being fair. How many times we dispossessed? 7. It's one of those, isn't it? Brighton got robbed. Haven't seen that. So I don't know what has actually happened in that one. I did see that everyone's favourite manager, Frank Lampard, did not win against Wolves, who are dog shit. So what happened there? Has anyone seen that game? How did it go so perfect for them? In fact, they are now 1 place behind them in the table. There's a little bit of a gap there, but Chelsea are rock solid in 11th, interestingly. Azkaban says, Steve, the script, but somebody plays okay, then we see Casemiro show a true midfielder enforcer, part 2. Chelsea 12 points off relegation. Oof. Chelsea had 1 shot on target. Oh, 1 shot, 0 on target. Wow, did they? Wolves dominated the game. What? Interesting. Yeah, Aruna says, when you're in a crisis and you turn to Lampard. How did Paddock get on today? We drew 2-2. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 80% possession today. Through the kitchen sink at it. I didn't have a bench. Nothing I could throw on to change it or to try and mix it up. We absolutely deserved it, but we didn't get it. A couple of sloppy mistakes to concede. 2-2 it ended up. But absolutely dominated. Annoying. So promotion's off the cards for us. We'll have to do it next year. Did Rio really message in the group to say go easy on Lamps? Yeah, and he did it before it was announced. So I wonder if that was him sort of letting it know what was going on. I've already texted him saying, how'd your mate get on? And may or may not have thrown in this photograph into it as well. Knight says Wan-Bissaka was class today. Dinked some of the balls he had. Actually, Wan-Bissaka's link-up play in the final third in that right wing area was very good. Was really, really good. Yeah. Cathal says you should read Another Football is Possible. It's the history and story behind St. Pauli. I got a little bit of interest in St. Pauli. I went to Hamburg on a stag do a few years ago and had a bit of a mooch around looking at St. Pauli stuff. So, yeah, I'll have a look at that. What's that called? Another Football is Possible. Let me just go and have a check of that, see if I can get it on Amazon. Lolly says, what do I think of Eriksen's cameo? Fine. Does he need minutes to get him up to speed, or do you think he's just going to be good to go? Either way, I think he'll probably get minutes. Ralph says, why do people act like Scott and Fred are worlds apart? Both bang average, yet only McTominay is talked about in terms of being sold. I don't know, Maybe because they think there's a higher value associated with him. And Fred does give you a little bit of something different, like energy and that off the bench. I don't know. Brian says, game today showed how badly we need a striker. Would have been 6 up at half time. That's not a mental statement. I genuinely think that you could have been, yeah. Brighton had 2 disallowed goals. That was iffy. That's a shame. Yeah, I mean, we could have done with Tottenham and Newcastle dropping points today, but obviously wasn't to be. Keeps a Bitzer. Yeah, I think Keeps a Bitzer. I think he's got a real quality about him. Lyle says, Sancho just needs to start pulling the trigger to get going. Yep. Knights, missed you on 5 during the Trent should be moved into midfield conversation. I haven't seen it. I've seen some of the comments, so I assume that's likely to happen. Raf, is it true YouTube banned me and McCall from appearing in the same video together? What are you fucking sniffing? Of course not. Think YouTube have any editorial? The day that he comes up is the day I go to London. It's not deliberate. It's just it's a fact of how it is. So it makes it difficult. We would absolutely be on videos together if we was in the same fucking city at the same time. Otherwise, it's hard work, isn't it? Raf, I saw Joe Smith say it earlier. You got to get a sarcasm meter. Cameron says Sabitzer is better further forward. He looked a threat with Bruno pulling strings in behind. Today's one of those games where you're going to get a lot of that. But like I said, I actually thought the game was a lot more transitional than I expected it to be. I thought you would see, I nearly called him Burnley then. You'd see Everton, Sean Dyche in it. I thought you would see Everton sit a lot deeper. But didn't they have a weirdly high line? Did anyone else notice that? That they were compact, but the line was quite high, wasn't it? Do you not think? Jabek says, it's crazy how Lampard doesn't get half the harsh treatment for anyone that Ollie does from United fans. Ollie's twice the manager. He's multiples the manager. The fact that people go, oh, it's just like us appointing Ollie. You tell me when Frank Lampard came second and third and won games he shouldn't have won. Jesus. How long did I serve in the military and did I do any tours? I did 7 years and I did 3 tours. 2 of Afghanistan, 1 of Iraq. That's Afghanistan. kept getting done with the same long ball to Anthony, and on the left-hand side as well. Yeah. How's McNeil and Laird getting on? McNeil scored, I think that's his second goal that he scored on loan at Newport. They're playing against Stockport on Monday, and I was debating trying to get over and go and watch them. But I don't know if I've got the time to on Monday, but I wouldn't mind going having a look and seeing how he's getting on, to be honest. I did speak to him, and he said he's enjoying playing men's football. Personally, I think men's football is the better development regardless of the level. So I'm glad he's enjoying it. Hopefully he comes back and can put a bit of pressure on the first team. Jamie says, Ollie, for me, would do great with a Leicester job. Would love to see him there, but doubt it will happen. What about De Gea's 20 pass to Anthony 20 mins in? Couldn't believe my eyes. What's happening with Palestri? Not sure, to be honest. Lee says, if Ollie was English and Frank was Norwegian, the narrative would be flipped on its head. Inner Art says, Anthony didn't deserve to be subbed off. He's finding a lot of spaces thanks to that Everton high line. Big Ting says, don't know if you answered this, but how did I find Sancho's performance today? I thought it was good. I thought he was very creative. I thought, weirdly, the Bundesliga is quite a transitional kind of league where you see teams, because the Gegenpress is such prevalence in Germany, you see teams pressing from the front, and you can't have a team that presses from the front and then sits back. They're not compatible. So when you have a team that presses from the front, you get a high line, and when you've then got a high line, it suits the way I think Sancho likes to play in that sort of space. So I thought today's game suited him more than I thought it was going to suit him, because I didn't expect Everton to play like that. I thought they would sit mid and low block rather than try and go high with it. But they did make it way more transitional than I fully expected it to be. Brian Case says, we all know Gerrard's going to get the Leicester job. Actually laughable he'll even be considered. Honestly, what Lampard and Gerrard have done for management, I really don't understand. A11 says, judging off what you've seen so far, who would I like to be sold in the summer? And who would I like to see brought in? I think Maguire's got to go. And you could sell a couple more for a little bit of topping up cash. But out of the ones that started, probably only really want to sell Maguire, I think. Jerome says, thoughts on the midfield today? Thought they dominated. Do you know what? They did better without the ball than with it, even though Bruno completely dominated the ball. Bruno on his own dominated the ball. Sabitzer and McTominay didn't get on the ball anywhere near enough for me, I think. Jesse March is being talked about for the Leicester job. Why? People have just got fuck all imagination. Have they? Zero imagination. Dar says, Maguire hit some long balls that I had to whistle for, then looked lost right after. Why was Sean Dyche playing such a high line? I don't know. I genuinely didn't expect him to do that, and I don't think it suited him. Look at how many shots they conceded. It absolutely didn't suit him. He was more than capable of going to Old Trafford and getting a clean sheet today, and then maybe snatching something at the other end. But, do you know what I mean? He didn't do that. Ross says Leicester should have probably kept Rodgers if they're just going to get Jesse March. I don't like Brendan Rodgers, but I think he's a better manager than Jesse March. Would I take Mbappe with all his baggage over Kane? No. Anthony needs to do some finishing drills. Could have had a hat-trick in the first half. I agree with that. So I guess we're not talking about the Rashford injury just yet. So Ten Hag gave an update on his injury, and he says, unfortunately, we'll have to see, but it sounds like it's a potentially bad one. He's blaming the schedule of 3 games in 6 days. Obviously, Marcus has to play every single minute of all of those because there's not really enough options going on for United. And it's a massive worry. I was only talking about this last week, how over-reliant United are on just like a handful of players. So not having Marcus, I think, is a massive, massive issue for United going into the final part of the season. Martial could relieve some of that. Eriksen coming back into the team, obviously not playing in the same position, but being a creator, could alleviate some of that. But I really worry for where the goals are going to come from without having Marcus Rashford in the team. So yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that. Kane or Lautaro Martinez, if both for the same price, probably Kane. Would I buy Pickford? No. Big Mitch says United have kept the highest number of clean sheets this season. Mad that we've conceded 35% of our goals in 2 games, barring that with the best defence in the league. Jesus. DR says, can Sabitzer play a false 9 to give Martial a break? He probably could. He can play pretty much everywhere. He probably could play there, yeah. Brian says, Kane walks into this team and bags 30 goals a season. Would have him over Osimhen for instant impact. It's just the price. He'd never get anything out of Tottenham. Not that I think you're going to get anything out of Napoli either, to be fair. Irish Oreo says, do I think Bula is potentially worse than the Glazers, not in terms of investment, but in terms of taking the club backwards? Yeah. Yeah, I think he's off his fucking tits. And it might be great entertainment for everyone who isn't a Chelsea fan. The problem is you throw the billions that he's clearly going to throw at Chelsea, they will end up accidentally being successful. But for now, it could be absolute car crash, and I'm here for it. Here's the other thing. They're going to sign so many players that I think you're going to end up getting some bargains out of them because they're going to have to sell people that aren't getting registered, which you've got to be there to pick up. Anne Shurin says, hey Steve, do I think the reason our other players are so poor at finishing, bringing a 9 won't help improve the finishing of other players? It might improve, weirdly, it might improve the finishing of other players because if you have a number 9, that's an absolute bagsman, and he's taking up defenders. So at the moment, United poor at finishing. You can risk it going 1v1 with certain players because you know that their finishing ain't great. But if you've got, if you're playing against Manchester City at the moment, right, you're going to double mark Erling Haaland, which then might mean that you only single mark some of the wider players, which might mean that they have a better opportunity at getting a goal. It's one of those weird sort of things, like you bring in a better finisher, like Harry Kane and Son work really well, or did work really well pre-Conte. Because you're going to mark Harry Kane and then you don't quite mark Son. But Son scores almost as many as Harry Kane every single season because people are more worried about the reputation that Kane has got and therefore maybe only single, because you can't double mark everybody. So you're going to double mark one and maybe go 1v1 on the other. And when you do that, Son's a good enough player to absolutely batter you when you do that. Should United buy Maddison? No, don't think he fits in. Raf says, Steve, last time we signed a consistent goal scoring 9 was Wayne Rooney, and that's pushing it because he played across the front line. You're missing Zlatan out. And you're definitely missing Robin Van Persie out. And you're probably missing Louis Sahar out as well. Would I sell Martial in the summer? I think so, yeah. MPX10 says, finally catching you live. Much love from DC. I don't go live that often. Infinite Paradox says, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno midfield going forward now. As soon as they all hit fitness, absolutely, yeah. Ocean says, Boulay has money to burn and time to learn. At least he's trying, but for now, indeed, enjoying the Chelsea memes. Yep. Yeah. Saha was a baller, says Aaron. He absolutely was. Norman says, Sabitzer has played better than Van der Beek in the last few years. Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Sabitzer's come in and done kind of what we was hoping Donny Van der Beek could do, like fill in a number of positions, provide a little bit of quality on the ball. I'd be surprised if Donny Van der Beek's still here. The only reason I think he'll still be here is because he's not actually fully fit to go and pass a medical elsewhere yet, you know. Joey says, I can see Bruno and Eriksen, Sabitzer rotating a lot more in game now after Bruno's proven he can distribute and dictate from that deeper role. Yeah. I think using Sabitzer and Eriksen in tandem as one position while Eriksen gets back to fitness probably would be a really good move. Daniel says Donny has to go. Aaron says, forgot we even had Donny until you mentioned him. Brian says, apart from Kane, who's the one Premier League player I'd love to sign? I think I would love Ferguson. That might be a good video, actually. Should we do? I'm going to write that down. One player from every Premier League club United could or should sign. Should we do that? I think we should do that. Bruno went full Scholes today. Sat nav. Steady. It wasn't quite that level. If Southampton could finish, Arsenal would have one hand on the league by now. Is it still 0-0? It is still 0-0, isn't it? I've got the score down there. What do you want to see happen tomorrow? Because on one hand, Liverpool, look, Liverpool don't usually lose at home. As much as we would like to really dig it into them, they don't usually lose at home. There's hilarity to be had either way tomorrow, isn't there? If Arsenal lose, so let's all laugh at Arsenal. If Liverpool lose, they're in trouble, because I think that puts them within like a point of 10th. No, it doesn't. Not quite. No, not quite. Fulham would need to start picking up some points. Fulham lost today. That's a shame. No, I don't think Liverpool. AO says, don't think Liverpool get top 4 anyway. They might not get top fucking 10 the way it's going. So go on, Liverpool or Arsenal? What are you saying? How do we want to see this go tomorrow? Because there is hilarity in either way, isn't it? Like, I really don't want Arsenal to win the league, but I think if they go to Liverpool and beat them there, that's a fucking big sign, you know. Greatest football team ever, many said last season. Yeah, not even last season, last summer, in between these two seasons. How's about this for the greatest Premier League team ever? The fuck are you talking about? Don't want Liverpool to get confidence, says Nicky. Daniel says Arsenal to lose. Don't think we're in much danger from the Dippers. And I want to laugh at Arsenal and Joel. Ryan, the top 4 races only Newcastle and Spurs now, in my opinion. It's tight though. So Spurs are on 30 games played, 53 points. We're on 29 played, 56 points. Newcastle 29 played, 56 points. It is tight like a tiger. Klopp's too busy making Erdinger ads. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really mind the advert. I quite like Erdinger. Don't put me off. Ericsson more effective in a half season than Pogba was in 5 years. We need more smart buys, says Manny. Oh my God, does anyone disagree with that? Super chat there from Manny. Ericsson was more effective in a half season than Pogba was in 5 years. Pogba had that one amazing season that went under the radar because the team didn't really pull up too much. But in terms of value for money, it's incomparable, isn't it? Absolutely incomparable. Peter says, I want Arsenal to win it, so City don't win 3 on the bounce. Joe says, I disagree. Daniel says, good Lord, Manny. David says, 100% agree. Daniel says, spot on. Beth says, still remember when the pundits couldn't get over that we didn't get Conte when he was available, and we went with Ragnick. Didn't matter that Conte wasn't good because he was a winner. Dodged a bullet, absolutely dodged a bullet. Penalty City, says Prince. Got the alerts on. We'll see what happens. Would 70 points be enough to secure top 4? Not a clue. Paul says, just hearing the name Pogba makes me cough up a bit of sick. Good riddance. Arsenal fans are annoying. They do. How do I wind up Liverpool fans? Just be a United fan. Pogba during Ollie's interim was special. I agree with that. Brighton robbed by refs. Inner Art says, can't wait to see Ericsson and Casemiro on the pitch. Sadly, we're going to miss Rashi. That's a problem, isn't it? That is a problem. I think he's probably going to be out at least a week. I think we can probably cope with that. Pogba still hasn't played this season, you know. Didn't he come off the bench the other day? Let's just have a look. I thought he came off the bench the other day. Yeah, he's played twice off the bench this season. Total of 35 minutes. Niall Wolf says, it's a draw between Liverpool and Arsenal. Is a draw the best result we can hope for? Also beers on me in New York City. Has New York been announced yet? I don't know if all the cities have been announced yet. But we should be joining the tour. I think we're going to be booking our stuff next week. And then sorting out some events. So we'll be doing some events. If you're going on pre-season, we'll be doing some events where you can come hang out and do whatever. Joanne says, hopefully Tony can stay fit long enough to fill in for Rashford. That'd be nice if that sort of dovetailed in like that, wouldn't it? Have they had this penalty yet or what? Have they not took it? Big Ting says, what player from relegation teams would I want at United besides Ward-Prowse? Let's just have a quick look at the table, see who's in there. Leicester, probably. I mean, Maddison's their best player, but does he fit at United? Not sure. There's not a lot at Leicester that I'd really go bananas for at the moment. Fucking hell, yeah, struggling here to be honest with Leicester. Not sure in Leicester. Who else in Forest? Forest have got a couple players. Anyone that stands out though? Jesus, I don't know. Brennan Johnson, maybe. I don't know if he starts for United though. Tillman, yeah, Tillman. Ryan says it's funny because you always said Tillman and then Didi are better than our midfielders. They were. They were. All gone quiet on a takeover front. The Tampa Reds need to do us a favour. I think it's probably, think about this, right? The amount of cash up involved with this takeover is bonkers. Like, anyone who's bought a house knows that for some reason it takes 3 months to go through, and you've no idea why. They've agreed. This guy's agreed. That's all ready to go. Why the fuck does it? Why is it not 2 emails and an afternoon? Why does it take 3 months? So I imagine anything that costs $6 billion, which has got multiple shareholders and all sorts of different fuckery, and it's, you know, the New York Stock Exchange is somehow involved. I can't imagine that shit gets boxed off with a handshake in an afternoon. I think it might take a little bit longer than that to sort out. So yeah. Bring back Lingard for the vibes. No. Who do we think is going down? That's the 3 that's in the relegation at the moment. But Everton are, you know, level on points with Forest. Leeds have got a game in hand, but they're only on 29 points. Bournemouth are only on 30. I mean, West Ham, I would say actually right up to Wolves on 31 points, because that's only 4 points. 4 points over the course of 8 games for teams that are not going to be winning a lot is not that many points. So King Dino said it took 9 months to buy my house. Fucking hell. Yeah, I thought it was one of those, isn't it? Thoughts on WWE merging with the UFC? I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. I haven't looked into it in anywhere near enough. But I think that the UFC as an entity has really shit the bed since its merger with WME, which I know is sort of one of the owners, I think, or involved somehow with WWE. Once they started chasing this, bad motherfucker belt, champ shit, rather than just have the champions fight 2-3 times a year, and the number one contender always move into being the guy that gets the belt next, or gets a shot at the belt next. Once they went away from that, it's got shit. The reason that the UFC had overtaken boxing, the reason that it was growing on such a monumental level, is because you could enter, be outside like the top 30 in your ranking, put 4-5 wins together, and be knocking on the door of a belt, get your opportunity, become the champion. That was what made it compelling, because it was easy for the general public to follow. Oh, I saw this guy, and because they were active all the time as well. Oh, I saw this guy, he's pretty good. Oh, there's that kid again. Oh, he's won again. That was what happened with McGregor. That's how you make the stars. They're gatekeeping all their stars by not having them fight and not putting them in opportunities where they can go and win stuff. It's fucking ridiculous. Infinite Paradox, Hammers won. Moyes survives another week. I didn't think he'd be here this weekend, to be honest. I thought he might have got the bullet. Who's the next one to go? It could be Moyes, couldn't it? If he wins or loses the next 2, he really could go. Stephen says, do you not fancy doing MMA again as a YouTuber and knocking the bollocks off some comedians? I was asked last week if I wanted to fight someone who's a City fan ahead of the semi-final at Wembley. And I said, yeah, but you're going to have to pay me Tommy Fury money to do it. Because that's about fucking 5 weeks or something away, innit? Or 3 weeks away. And I am not in fighting condition. So if you want to do that, boy needs paying. What's my fighting background? Well, there is a MMA fight of me on this channel, actually, from 2010. I did catch wrestling as the base, and then a little bit of striking. Now, striking's not great. I'll wrestle the fuck out of you, though. And to be honest, it's something I would love to get involved in more. I just don't have the time. I just love the time. Thoughts on McKenna at Ipswich? McKenna and Carrick, considering the shit that they got under Ollie, have been doing sensational work, haven't they? So, fair play to them. What would I do a boxing match? I'm not asked. Yes, I would do it. Did you remember that Fame MMA? I'm glad I didn't do this because I believe everybody didn't get paid. But Fame MMA spoke to me and was asking me to do it for a long time. And yeah, I said I'd do it, but there was stipulations about how it would go down. And ultimately, they didn't want to pay me what I wanted. So I said no. Because here's the thing, right? If I was going to do it, I will go and train with Brendan and with Mokayev, and I will make it my full-time fucking job because I will take it serious. I'm not going to go and get fucking tuned in front of a load of people. So I'm not doing that. If I'm going to do it, I will go all in, and I'll fucking absolutely tune up whoever they put in front of me. But to do that, obviously, I'm going to have to stop making content, which is my job. So you're going to have to pay me to do that. And they didn't want to pay me what I wanted. So, all right, cool. I'm not going to fucking do it then. And actually, they didn't even pay anyone who did go on it. I think there was some people that was owed a lot of money off them. Azkabaz says, I'd pay top dollar to see you and McCullough versus Boovie in that esteemed company. I'd do them both on the same day. How's the Paddock got on this season? We're solid mid-table. We've actually played really well. I think our style of play has evolved loads. I think the standards have evolved loads. We're just not really scoring goals. We've had a bit of mistakes at the back. And, I think we'll call it a day for this season soon. 5 games left. And then we'll have a good pre-season and we'll get it smashed in the mixer. Notch, MMA fight with that City fan at the Slow Readers gig. Would be over in about 4 seconds like it was at the last one. Chris says, if United are in Europa final with Liverpool or Spurs sitting in 5th, do you lose on purpose to keep them out of the Champions League? No. I don't think it works like that anyway. I don't think it works like that, does it? Raf says, how on earth do I justify appointing Ash as a sporting director? Does he have the qualifications for the job? Ash has a UEFA A licence. And for those who aren't aware, he's also someone that's come from non-league. At 16, when he was released from West Brom, he went and played for Hendersford in non-league, and then moved up and played every single division of pro football before getting to the Premier League and obviously playing for Wales and that. So, in terms of the qualifications, yeah, he's got experience of coming up through this level. The what we're asking for him from his role, he will be hands-on with the first team in terms of one-to-one development, mentorship, as well as helping me out with the coaching and some drills and things like that, which of course he's fucking way more qualified than I am. And then the other side of being a sporting director is to help us establish links for the players to move on and potentially for us to bring players in to come on loan for us and stuff like that. So the contacts that he's got are sensational and he's into it. So yeah, it'd be a great appointment. Will I be coming to the US for pre-season? Yes. Abhinav says, Arteta's best season under Arsenal would have been when they've played less than 50 games a season. We've played 49 this week. Interesting. Brian says the football knowledge alone he can give the players is worth him being there. Yeah. We have spoken about the Van Persie incident on camera, and it was all cut out. Like, literally, the first podcast that we did an hour, and I asked him about that, and then it all got chopped out. I don't know why. Predict who will finish third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. United, Newcastle, Spurs, Brighton. Which is mad for Brighton, isn't it? What did he say about it? I think you shouldn't hear it out of his own mouth. I'll ask him again on a podcast because what he said fucking shocked me. Why are the London and Manchester studios identical? I don't know. They decided to make it the same. Have I read Cruyff's autobiography? Yes. I mean, not this week, but yes, I read it a lot and it's very good. My Turn, which is fucking genius, isn't it? Paul says, many thanks for introducing me to Slow Readers Club. They are mint. I didn't get Ash's thoughts on the 12-week injury thing. Yeah, they cut that out as well. I don't know why the fuck they cut that out. That was a good conversation. Basically, yeah, it's the same thing as like the PFA need to fucking step up and get involved here. Like 60-70% of that league are former members of the PFA. The FA probably need to recognise the National League being the 5th professional division, and then the PFA can actually have some power to do it. But I wouldn't mind the PFA stepping in and saying, actually, yeah, fuck it. All of these lads are paid. Are we fucking pretending that these lads are amateurs and they pay subs? Because they're fucking not. Right? The National League is professional. They are professional. And Ash is the same opinion as me. I mean, somewhere that, like, when you get injured playing for that club, yeah, it's shit because the clubs can and do go to the wall, usually on the back of wages. But if you sign a contract with that player and he gets injured playing for you, this isn't an office job. You know, they should be protected. A lot of the lads are only on a year-long deal anyway. Fucking back up for them. Like, that is such a shit thing to do on behalf of any club. If Paddock are ever in the position where players are paid weekly to be full-time players at Paddock, and I don't fucking know how likely that is, but let's just presume. Look, if you get injured on day one of the season, you're contracted to the 1st of June the following year. That's the risk we take, and that's the gamble that we have to put in people so they know that you're fucking going to be there for them. It's nonsense. It's the same thing when people, if people get injured when they're in the army, doing their fucking job, they should be paid out for their whole career. 1-0 City, bastards. Like, it's not an office job where I've got carpool fucking tunnel, I'll make do. When you're involved in a physical job, there was someone in the comments the other day who was like, oh, I'm a truck driver and companies let truck drivers go at 30 years old because they've had a bad back. Well, they fucking shouldn't. Just because shitty companies exist doesn't mean that everyone else has to be shit as well. Cameron Ketch says, just finished the 1999 book. It's very good, isn't it? Does anything come close? Any other recommendations on that front? 99 was excellent. I genuinely think the Barcelona Legacy might be one of the best ones I've seen in terms of a book. That would be the one that I would point to as a non-United book. Who's the next United guest on 5? Andy Cole, I think. Andy Cole's been supposedly on the case for a minute, but I don't know what's going on with this. Flawless says, if Rashford's out for a while, we might be in huge trouble. No other goal threat. Yeah. Feels good saying I'm gutted we didn't win 5 or 6-0. Yeah. Sandeep says, just saw the MMA video. Tom Bowen did put up a decent fight, to be honest. I cut weight in the morning. That's not recommended, by the way. Because I got, what did I have? I had an infection in the week in the build-up, which limited my training and probably limited me a little bit during the fight as well. So it was a draw. It was one of those where if you didn't finish each other, it was a draw. So it was a draw. And I think if you watch it, it was a draw was a fair result. I had an infection in the week and I couldn't cut weight. So I decided to not bother and just try and cut weight in the morning. And it took about 3 hours of shadow boxing in the sauna. So I was pretty tired. I went home after I made weight to try and sleep. Didn't sleep. So excited. Um, and then I think I probably crashed about halfway through the round, and I had nothing. And as the game was ending, I was just fucked. Why am I wearing Newcastle gear? I mean, I'm assuming you lot can see that, right? Does this look like Newcastle gear? Um, Alex Ferguson, my autobiography is a very good read. Leading's pretty good as well. What do I mean by cut weight? Well, MMA fights are done on weight by weight basis, so you had to weigh in. This is how long ago this is. I had to weigh in at 170 pound, which I think is 77 kilos. I think. And I think I woke up about 6 or 7 pound heavy, so I had to get the bin bags on, get a load of hoodies on, go and get in a sauna and shadow box until that 6-7 pound came off, and then go weigh in, and then go home for a nap before the fight. So it was that. Do Paddock use stats? Yes, we do. Did I win? No, it was a draw. When is Ash going to play for Paddock? Right. At the start of the season, Ash said, exact words, I keep getting asked to play in the Soccer Aid thing, and I keep saying no because I'm not match fit and I'm not going to turn up and look like a dick, which is fair. So then he said, I'll play in it next season and I'll play for you lot from Christmas for as long as you need us to get fit. I thought, sweet. And then Christmas came and he went, I'm done. He's like, the fucking under 12s are going past me at the minute. So, fuck that. Are the stats done in-house? Yes. We have a couple of analysts in the club. There's probably room for some more, especially as we grow. There'll be room for a lot more. So if people want to get involved and do that analysis, a lot of people go, "Oh, I'll help," and I'm remote. There's not a lot you can do remote. There's probably video clips you can do, but a lot of the stuff that we require really needs doing in person. Haaland probably scored more than half of the league teams. I think he's definitely scored more than half the league teams. I think Chelsea have scored 29 this season. How many is he on? Do I think one of the Italian sides will win the Champions League? Oh, I don't want to think about it, to be honest. Ryan says, it's a shame. I'd love to see how an ex-Premier League player competes at the Paddock level. Well, you might see an ex-Premier League player competing at Paddock level. How far is the studio from my place? Not that far. Luke says, I'd love an Irishman back at United. Ferguson, I'd be chuffed. United need a good Irishman. I agree. Do I partly own 5? No, I don't own 5. AK, if you ever need any architectural drawings or designs, get in touch. I'd love to contribute at Paddock. Message me because we do. Instagram me and mention it, and I'll get back to you. Hit me on a DM on Instagram. Phil Jones to Paddock confirmed. It's not going to be Phil Jones. It's not going to be Phil Jones. There's a ton of players that we know. I think Danny Simpson would have been one that we could have done, but I think he's... has he not been signed by Macclesfield? I know he's training there. I actually thought Danny was going to sign, to be honest. Imagine how scary Brighton would be if they stopped selling all their players. It'll get to a point, won't it, where they go, actually, we might be able to get Champions League if we pushed a little bit. That's the one. Can I play for Paddock? Says Ekman. Yeah, anyone can play for Paddock. All you got to do is turn up, training, and if you're good enough, you'll get signed on. Although not this season because the deadline was a week and a half ago. Try and pick up some more ex-United academy players. We do. We'll see what next season brings. There's a fucking right load of announcements to make with the football team for next season. Ash is the first. There'll be some information coming out about what we've done in terms of juniors very, very soon. And then we might have some more exciting news on the cards as well. So stay tuned. There's fucking loads going on behind the scenes. Alex says, what's the maximum age for a player I would want to play for Paddock? I couldn't give a fuck. If you're good enough, you can play. Simple as that. And the app, I don't know what the fuck's going on with the app. It's been a fucking mare to get this app going. Hopefully there'll be an update on it soon. But I was told before I went to the World Cup it was going to be done. So it's out of my hands. The guy who's doing the app is doing it for free. So I can't exactly fucking fire him, can I? So it's one of those. It's took a long time. The guy's doing it to try and build his portfolio, and he's been let down by somebody. So it's been frustrating, but it's one of them, innit? What do academy players who don't make it in professional football do as a profession generally? I don't think you could generalise. I really don't think you could generalise. I think they go into every walk of life that every single person goes into. Righty, I'm going to wrap it up there. Cheers for tuning in. 5 things will be out in the morning. I'll catch you lot in the next one. Laters.